In this video, I'm going to take you through the entire process step by step to printing and binding your own book from home. Starting from the very beginning of what you are going to print, what's the easiest free software to use to format it, to get it ready to print, what kind of printer you should be using, as well as a very simple book binding method. I'll also share with you my very simple way to make free book covers. Now, step number one is, of course, the fun part, to have something to print. Now, this could be your own book that you have created. I would recommend just typing it on something free like Google Docs and then saving it as a PDF. That's going to be very important to save it as a PDF. You can also find plenty of books for free online. One of my favorite websites is Project Gutenberg. There you can pick a book and you can also pick the format to download it, whether it's maybe for an e-reader or like a project we're doing right now, saving it as a PDF. All right, now moving on to the printer settings. I recommend that you use and download the free version of Foxit Reader. A lot of times with whatever printer you're using, with the printer dialog, you might not see these options. So this is the easiest step-by-step way I can recommend to anybody who wants to do this, is to just use Foxit Reader. And again, you just need the free version. So using that free software, I'm going to show you now exactly what settings to pick. Now, I'm going to be printing my book from our homeschooling curriculum website. We have the Robinson curriculum, and when you purchase it, you get all of these amazing book files to download and print at home. So that's what I'm going to be doing here. Now, directly from the Foxit Reader application, I'm going to open up the file that I just downloaded. So I'm going to open it with Foxit Reader, and then from here, I'm going to click on Print. It's very easy. It does all the work for you. You have your one copy, you select the printer you're using, and then under page handling, this is the most important part. You want to click on Booklet, and this does all the work for you. It will automatically bind on the left. You have a certain set margin. Now, I never touch these margins. However, people ask me all the time how they can adjust them. This is the place where you can adjust it, and you can preview what that would look like with the little preview here. I don't touch anything else. I leave everything else as is, and I just hit print. It's very simple. Now, when it comes to the printer, there are a couple things you should keep in mind. You need obviously a double-sided printer, one that starts to print it out, sucks it back in, flips it, and automatically prints on the other side. You also want a printer that is ink efficient. If not, this is going to be really expensive. So my favorite printer that I've been using for years is the Epson 2760. I did upgrade from the previous model to this one. They sold it at Costco. I can't remember. I think maybe it was $200. It came with 2 years worth of ink. And when you do replace the ink bottles, it's bottles of ink, not ink cartridges. A $20 ink bottle will easily last me 2 years, and I do a lot of printing. And the 3-pack for the colors is also extremely affordable when you think of the thousands and thousands of pages that you can print with them. Now, for some reason, these printers can be a little bit hard to find at a great price. So I will do my best and leave you some links down below. But if you have a Costco nearby, definitely check out if they have the Epson 2760. Okay, so it's doing its thing now. As you can see, it starts to print out the page. It sucks it back in, and now it's going to flip it and print the back side. And it's printing it in that booklet format. It's got plenty of space in the middle to go ahead and do some bookbinding. But yeah, that's what it looks like. It's a good size print here. And see the pages, how they print? 150, 152. So essentially, if you were to fold the whole thing right in the middle, but you can't do that because it's too many pages, it would be perfectly in order. Now, while that's printing, printing, let's go ahead and talk about how I'm actually going to bind the book. Now, I have an entire playlist, and I will go ahead and link it up in a card with various different methods that I've tried. Everything from comb binding to sewing with a sewing machine. However, this really is my favorite. I feel like it gives it that real book feel. And yet it's very simple. Now, I recommend if you have a very small, thin book to go ahead and just use a stapler like this. I believe it's called a saddle stitch, where you could just lay the pages down in half, plenty of room here, and you could even curl up a little bit, and bam, just staple it 3 times in the middle. And again, I would recommend this just for maybe actual booklets or very small, thin books. Super simple, just use a saddle stitch. I will link it down below. Now, my book is closer to 300 pages. It's a bigger book, so I do have to cut the pages in half, and I'm just going to use my cheap little Amazon paper slicer cutter here. What you also need is a 2-hole puncher like this one. Now, it's very important that you have one with the ruler so that you can line it up straight each and every time you're punching holes, unlike my very first cringy tutorial that I ever made. And as you can see, this was just $3 at a thrift store, and I've had this for years and it works just fine. And to go along with this, of course, you need the 2-hole prong fasteners. This one has a 2-inch capacity, so it's more than enough. You can get a smaller one if your book is thinner. Now, before we start assembling the book, it's important to think about first what kind of book cover you're going to have, because that's going to be the first page, the book cover that you put down. So it could be something just very simple, maybe cardstock. You can design something on Canva like I'm about to do and print it on cardstock. You can laminate something to make it a little bit more sturdier, but make sure you think about that first before you start assembling your book, because like I said, the cover is the first thing that you put down. All right, so here is a very simple cover that I have created on Canva. I knew that I was going to be printing booklet style, so I just put it on the right hand of the paper, as you could see here. That's how I set it up. Just very simple. And cardstock. And here are all the pages. So as you can see, this is how it looks. And again, if I just took this whole thing and just folded it in half, it would be the perfect order of pages, because you see here's 142 and here's 143. This is the exact middle of the book. But this book is way too big for that, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it and use the 2-hole prong method, and then just cover it up with bookbinding tape, and you'll see the finished look. Now what you want to do here is grab a few at a time. I like to go ahead and fold it in half first to have an idea of where the middle is. And I put it in the paper cutter. I line up the center. Go ahead and cut. Now, here's the tricky part. You want to be very careful. I wouldn't just lay them like this. I want to go in order. So this is page 274. That is going to come before 275. So this goes face down over here. And this right side is now going to go in this left-hand pile, because this is page 11 and here is page 10. So now that's going to go face down. So what I'm doing here, as I'm cutting, this stack is going to go face down on this side, and this left-hand side is going to go face down on the right-hand side. But again, it's very easy to just look at the page numbers and make sure you keep them in order. Again, 260 is face down on 261, and 25 is face down on 24. And I'm going to keep going. So now the next step is actual hole punching. So I'm just going to adjust the ruler here so that it is as close to center as possible. And I'm checking the margins to see if there's still a good amount of space. Looks perfect to me. So now I'm going to set it up with the 2 whole prongs. I'm going to start with the cover here, put the prongs up, and as I print and I hole punch, I just stack them on top. And then I will use this at the end. Now I want to cover up this prong here, so I'm going to use some regular bookbinding tape. Make sure that it covers it and the spine so you can't see it, gives it a little bit more of a finished look. And then I'm just going to write the title with this gold metallic marker on the spine. Now, unfortunately, this particular book is really thick, so I don't have the bookbinding tape thick enough to just have a seamless cover of, both sides with one piece of tape, but we do what we have to do. All right, so here is the finished product. Now, of course, it's not going to be perfect. The pages are just not all going to be absolutely perfect. It really depends on your cutting. Be careful, don't fold too many pages at once. Take your time cutting. But overall, I think it just adds sort of to the charm of it, and you made it yourself. It's a little bit more special. And here it is with the title. Everything is lined up. The pages, I think the margins are fine, but of course I showed you where you can adjust them if you want even more space in the middle. And yeah, so that's it. Let me know what you think down below. Now, if you like this video, I think you would like that playlist of other ways to go ahead and bind your books, but YouTube's algorithm thinks you would like this video instead. So whichever one you choose, I will see you there. Bye for now.